Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of All the Mod 6. I hope everyone is doing great today. I know that I am as always. We're hopping right back into our game save here and nothing really to update you on, honestly. We're pretty much picking up where we last left off in the previous episode. So coming down here, as you see, we still have our sheep farm up and going. I put a couple more sheep in here. Realistically, we probably could tone back the range extension that we have on here, the range add-on that we have, because it is just a little bit too far out. But it's fine for now. So I did hook this in as well, so it's actually hooked into our network right here, so we can take a peek here and look at wool. And as you can see, we already got a bunch that is flowing in. Now, a couple things I do want to note. I did turn off our automated salt machine here because we have a ton of salt. Like we have, I had to turn my volume up a little bit there. We have 14,000 salt, which is just, it's kind of insane. We really don't need that much. We have a lot of other stuff as well on top of that, like these fire shards. We have a lot of these fire shards. So I ultimately just turned it off. We don't really need it going right now. Now, the other thing I did go ahead and do is if we go over to our refined storage setup over here, I did go ahead and get a second disk storage in here because we were running out of space fairly quickly. So we have two 256K storage disks, giving us 512K, so about 500,000 space. Now, I really do want to expand on these and actually get some even larger ones up and going. However, they are extremely expensive, so we're going to get to that eventually. Now, I did mention in the last episode, I would really like to get up and going a way to wirelessly transfer a lot of the latex that we could be producing here, considering our dissolution chamber is going to require a decent amount of it. Now, the easiest thing to do would be to bring it over here. Just plop it right here, and that be that. But we don't like to necessarily do things that easily. Now, it did get me thinking, which I realized I did not touch in the last episode, was one of the mods that were added in, which is the Pypes Mod. This looks actually pretty cool as to what it offers for you to be able to do. So you have like basic item pipes, basic fluid pipes, energy, just a universal one. I don't know what is, I think that's just used for everything. Like honestly, you could tie in anything with it, which is actually really, really neat. So if you had a system up and going that, let's say, needed power, but it also needed like items to be moved with it, you might actually be able to utilize just one of these on it, which is actually very, very interesting. There's also gas. There's also upgrades for them too, which is pretty sick. And then an infinity pipe upgrade, which is not craftable, unfortunately. There's also a filter destination tool. Click on a block to set destination. These actually look really cool, and they're not too hard to craft up. Honestly, you get a lot of bang for your buck on these. You get 8 of them, and all you need, like let's say for this item one, is some droppers for it. Now, obviously, the mechanism ones are probably going to be a little bit cooler, but if you are working in a confined space, that universal one where it has them all lumped into one could be extremely, extremely nice to have. Now, I did want to take a peek at one thing. I don't think that we have the possibility to do it through the Power mod, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think we do. But if we look at oh, what is it called? Now I'm losing my thought on this. What it's called here. I remembered. It's called the Flex Network. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on it. Does this offer us any way to transfer wirelessly fluids? I don't think it does. I want to say, I feel like there was a way that we could do it. I remember looking into it and seeing that there were different things. Now we could store it, that's for sure. And maybe that makes sense to actually store the fluid. If we could store it within our refined storage system and then pump it into our dissolution chamber, that would be kind of cool to see. I don't exactly know how that works though. We would definitely need to test it. But a very, very cool idea. I've never used our refined storage system for anything like that, like for like pumping liquids into it and storing liquids. But we'll have to hold on to that and keep that in mind. I am curious though as well. A lot of mods have been updated. I was curious how thermal is looking. It's looking about the same as the previous one. They do have actually a storage cell now that you could store energy with. Before, they previously didn't have that. updated within the pack that we're running currently. So, all right. You might be wondering then, all right, dude, what are we doing today? Come on, like, you're always talking, let's get to doing some stuff, and that's what we're going to try to do here. We're going to try to knock some stuff out, and I think it's about time we head back to our bees over here. I think we've put them on the back burner for way too long. I know we need to do stuff with cooking for blockheads in there. I really want to get to that as well, which we will. But we have put our bees on the back burner, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to them. But they're all still doing great. They've all been working their butts off here, just producing a lot of output. If we go into here and we look at bees, it'll show you we have quite a bit of beeswax. We have a little bit of honey spider comb in here, but we have a lot of RGB honeycomb in here that allows us to make different dyes. Now, I touched on that in the last episode as well. But what you're not seeing in here is all of the redstone and lapis and gold that is being produced. If we go to gold, as you can see, we have a lot of gold ore that is piling in here. Now, really, it would make sense for us to have a better automation system for this, but what I would really like to do is upgrade our centrifuge in general. So if we go to the bees mod, the bees knees mod, and actually what I should have out with us is the book, the 50 Shades of Bees book. So we can actually take a peek at what we have here. So what we want to try to get up and going is the multi-block centrifuge. This thing is going to be awesome. It's a powerhouse compared to the powered one. It has the capability to process honeycomb blocks in addition to normal honeycombs. It can also process 3 separate combs simultaneously. So this will allow it to process all the combs that we might have coming in a little bit quicker. Now, I don't think we necessarily have a problem with it currently. It seems to be running just fine with how our setup is. And I did end up storing some bees over here, but I really would like to try to get to that up and going. So we are going to need 35 centrifuge casings in a 3x4x3 with 1 controller block from the bottom center of any face. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward to make. I think we could get this going. I know that there's other things that we could do, like apiaries and stuff, which we're totally going to get into, which is pretty sick. There's also an apiary breeder. I don't know if that's new or not. Oh, just so many cool things to get. I would love to get a vibranium bee. Oh, like, I'm so excited to get back into this. I think the bees are just the bee's knees, honestly. As much as it hurts me to say that in my soul. Yeah. All right, so what do we need here? I'm hitting every single wrong button possibly known to man. So we're going to need some iron blocks, Itron blocks. So blocks of iron. Let's get like 10 going. Having them on our in our inventory is going to be extremely useful. And then we're going to go back to our bees here. We're going to get some of these going. So it said 35. So I think we'll actually almost have enough. Yeah, we're almost have enough for it. We are going to need just a little bit more. And we are going to then also need a... we're going to need the controller as well. All right, there we go. And then finally, we do need the centrifuge controller here, which is going to need a few items here. Not too shabby, though. We can definitely get these going pretty straightforward here. We do need the centrifuge in itself, the base centrifuge, which I think we can craft up what we need for it, right? I have a crafting recipe for the piston, and there we go. And then we do need another set of these blocks here. There we go. So that should be all 35 and the controller. Now, if we take a look in our thing again, we come back to the multi-block. As you can see, it's right there in the middle. I think that's where it needs to be. With the controller, 1 block up from the bottom at the center of any face. Yeah, so this should work fine. We just need to carve out a space for it. Now, it is a 3x3 area, and I think placing it over in this direction makes the most sense since we do have our refined storage set up right there. This is where it does get a little bit tricky. Does it make sense to kind of plop it right here in this spot? Then have it go over to there? Probably makes the most sense to do that. So let's get this cleared out just a little bit here. Do we want it recessed one more? Probably one more back. Just like so. Unfortunately, I took out way too much dirt there. Having efficiency on our tools is very nice, but it definitely can be a curse at the same time. So there we go. We'll get these all going. It's very, very straightforward on how to do it. This one is going to go right here. I believe it's a solid structure, so all the blocks are utilized just like so. And then it should be good to go. I don't think we have to click on it or do anything. I forget. So the multi-block, it can also visualize the structure to get an idea of how to build it. We already did it. Yep, I think we're good to go then. I mean, it looks exactly how it should, so I think it just needs to get some power now. So as you guys probably recall, we did have this set up to be automated right off the bat. So we will have to kind of shift things around a little bit here. So we're going to take out these blocks here. Along with that, it all went into our collector here, and it's going to be within our storage system, unfortunately. But we're going to knock out this. We're going to knock out this. Just make us some working room here to be able to do what we need to do. Now the crafter, I believe we're going to want to keep the crafter as is because we're still going to get the output like that. But for this one, we're going to want to take this exporter and put it over to that. So let's grab this bad boy here. We are going to grab that. We're going to grab that. And then we're going to want to remember some of this stuff here. So the importer's fine. The exporter, we're going to want honeycomb in. So let's actually set that back up. I think that would make the most sense to actually just leave it right here, to be completely honest with you. So we'll take this off. We'll take this off. We'll break literally everything we don't need to be breaking right now because, you know, that always makes sense to do. Yeah. Okay, we'll place these back down. And unfortunately, our collector here is picking up everything. That's why we're not getting it back in our inventory. So we do need to grab all of our stuff here. So if we go to refined storage, we are going to need our exporters here. I think, where's our advanced one? Is it not here? An external, nope, that's not it. What is going on here? Where'd our advanced one go? An importer, which I think we need. Advanced. There we go. Oh, it's from extra storage. My mistake on that one. So what we're going to want to do is get an importer here. Or no, I'm sorry. We're going to need an exporter here. Exporter, not an importer. We're going to place this not like that. We do need the crafter as well. So let's go back in here. Unfortunately, it picked up our crafter. Crafter tier 1. And we're going to place it just like so. It should retain everything. Yep, it did retain it, which is perfect. And then all we got to do is hop down here. That one is our importer, so this is going to be our exporter. And then what we are going to grab is honey. All we want is a honey bottle in here, so it'll export all the honey into that location. And then this should be good. So it'll import all these into here, and then once it has enough, it'll import back into the system and be good to go. Cool. So that should be set up there with this, just like that. Now we do need to kind of work our way though over to this and get this bad boy set up. That's going to be the next tricky thing for us to do here. So I think it makes the most sense to have it come off the back here. And then go, so we already have that going straight down there. And I don't want, well, it doesn't really much matter if that connects in or not. So I guess we'll leave it like so. And then we'll kind of just have it come right over to here. So we are going to want an exporter into here. I believe we could just put it on it wherever. It doesn't much matter. And then we're going to want to go back to our bees. I know that we've been through something like this before, guys. So just bear with me as we go through. But hopefully some of you guys find some help with this or get some help out of this. We also want redstone. And I think those, so we have redstone, that one, and then gold as well, if I am not mistaken, right? And gold. So that should export all of those into that location. Now we are going to need some cables from our refined storage setup. Ooh, I just hit every single wrong button there. So what we need down here then is an importer, which will import things back into the system. And then if we go like so, it should be ready to work. Enable redstone control. No, disable. We want that. We should be good. It doesn't have any power in it. I don't think we have any bees or combs, do we? Let's go to bees. Yeah, we don't have any currently. So we're going to have to kind of wait here until we get some to make sure that this is working properly. But the other thing, obviously, we're going to need is a little bit of power. Let's grab our ender gate, just like so. And then we could honestly stick this kind of wherever on it. So if we just wanted to stick it right there, it should power it up. Looks kind of funny right there, actually. Let's move it to the top. Unfortunately, our collector, once again, picked it up. Put it up there. Should still get the power. Oh, it is moving some stuff right now. I don't know what it's taken, but it's definitely taken something. Let's just see. It might be the RGB, honestly. Yeah, we're not getting anything in there. We're also going to need glass bottles now that I'm realizing it. And that was the one thing that we did not get going here is glass bottles, which we're very, very much out of glass bottles. What's going on here? Let's get a bunch of glass bottles going then. We come over here, we throw these in there. It should work now. The other thing, obviously, we're going to want to do is on this one, it's the one thing that we forgot. It does need glass bottles to go in there. So as we have some glass bottles, they should populate in there. So if we come over here, make some glass bottles, boom, boom, throw them in there. They should populate into here. Yep, and it does seem like everything is working perfectly fine. Our gold honeycomb is going through there and getting distributed as it should. So we can now kind of close this bad boy back up. Just like so. I think I'm going to keep it like that. We do need to kind of close off the back here as well. And then we just need some dirt to fill in this space here. Which, was there grass down there? I think we're good. We're good there. And then what we can do is just fill that in like so. And we're good to go. We have our centrifuge casing up and going here, which is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. It's a little bit more automated. Oh, do we have the glass bottles the whole time? I can't even remember now. Well, we got plenty of glass bottles, so we can throw these in here and then it'll be perfectly fine. It'll kind of keep these going here, and then this should be working and making honey blocks. So if we take a look at honey, I think we will have a lot of it. Yeah, we have a lot of honey, which is cool. So with that being said, we have our new system set up with a nice big centrifuge. Now I believe that there's actually a even better one, if I'm not mistaken. Centrifuge. An elite centrifuge from Resourceful Bees, which I don't really 100% know on this one, but it does take netherite to actually do. And ooh, we have a, what is this, a wraith? Got a wraith over here. Interesting. It does take this whole setup to make it and netherite, but it didn't really talk about it in the book unless it's under advanced items. Let's take a peek here. So if we go back here, Ender Beacon JEI categories, centrifuge category. Whoa, okay, this is actually pretty interesting. This really starts going into a lot of detail on things in JEI. Help and bugs, entry, apiary, centrifuge basics, honeycomb basics, and an ender beacon. What is a beacon? Giving all your bees freedom to mingle in mind. It does this by affecting your bees in various ways. One major one is that it will prevent bees from despawning within its effective range. Other ways bees are affected can be found in later chapters. The ender beacon requires honey to function. As such, you will need to be able to fill it with honey. This can be done in many ways, either a honey bucket or a honey bottle. You can insert them into the interface. The tank will automatically. You can also simplify, right-click the tank. Okay. If you need more honey input, it will automatically blah, blah, blah. Wooden honey tank, purple honey tank. Oh, if we could get a purple one, that'd be awesome. I'm still confused. So what options do we have here? The ender beacon can apply certain effects to your bees. While effects are active, they will drain honey from the internal tank. Okay. Calming. That's kind of cool. Water breathing. I mean, I don't know. Fire resistance. Regeneration is actually pretty nice. And I think that would be actually really cool to get up and going. Maybe we'll try to do a little bit of regeneration. I'll have to see, though, what we need for it. So if we go to bees here, at the bees knees here, the whole episode is going to be this. So it looks like we need the beacon, and the tank. And I do like the purple. Obviously, purple like is my favorite. But obviously, we are going to need some popped coarse fruit in order to get that going. Consumes honey. Okay. But this would be so cool to do. But obviously, we need the purpler blocks, which we're going to need some of those. That's not too bad, though. I think what we need 5 for that, and then 6 for that, so 11 in total. We'll have to just get a few of these up and going so we can get that. And then what we could do is actually get it going down here in the basement. I would assume that the range of effects are like good, that they're wide enough. Like if we put it right here, like in the middle, down below, that it would work properly. Now, the other thing that we can do is obviously just take the honey straight out of here. Not from here, from our glass bottles. We could take our honey blocks, right? And I believe that we can utilize these if we go to honey. Honey. Where is our honey blocks? None of these actually look like the ones that we are making, surprisingly. Well, let's see with this. Yeah, there it is right there. It just doesn't look the same. So if you take a Magma Crucible, you can actually smelt it down into blocks of honey. Now, or we could switch it over to not be that way, right? You can make honey bottles, which honey bottles you could put right into a melting chamber from Cyclic. Can we put these right into a melting chamber? Yeah, you can actually put these right into a melting chamber from Cyclic, or use a Magma Crucible. Magma Crucible might make the most sense. So I think that's what we'll actually do, is instead of pumping these right back into the system, or maybe we will have them pump back into the system, but then we'll hook into our refined storage system down here, right? And then we'll pump in the honey, convert it into the liquid honey, and then get a beacon going down here. I think that would be really, really cool. So let me gather some stuff together, and once we're a little bit more set, I'll bring you guys back so we can get that beacon up and going. All right, guys, so I have spent a little bit of time testing things out, and honestly just kind of diving into the possibilities of having fluids linked into our refined storage system. And I think I figured it out. It's actually pretty straightforward, but there's a few things you do want to know when you're doing it. Now, up to this point, we've really never had a reason for fluids to be looped into our refined storage system. For the most part, we've been pretty much fine with whatever we've been using our fluids for, be it, water for our salt process or whatever it may be. We're fine not storing it because typically you have an infinite source. Now, we did run into an issue in the last episode where we needed latex and we didn't have a back storage of latex. That is going to change as well. Not right now, we're going to focus on our bee stuff here. So, I did get the purple honey tank up and going, as well as our ender beacon, and we're pretty much good to go in that regard. We do need to get our exporter here. I had that crafting up, but I'll show you what I got set up on this end of things. First and foremost, I'm going to get these onto our inventory because we're going to need to close up the wall here. I do need to get more of these. We'll have to go to the end, or I'm sorry, the nether to get those. But we have a Magma Crucible here, which is taking all of the honey block and turning it into liquid honey. Now, realistically, we could cut out a step and just have our honey bottles, instead of crafting them into the honey blocks, is to then just utilize these directly into the liquid form. So I believe there's a possibility to do this. Let's see here. Yeah, I think you can use the melting chamber from Cyclic, but I think that's about it. I think that's the only thing that you could use in there is this bad boy to get some output from it. But I think you do lose the glass bottles. I'm not 100% sure on it, but regardless, I'm content with the process as it is. So it's taking our honey blocks and converting it into liquid honey. Now, the way that we have this set up is we have an importer on the bottom, which is actually importing the liquid, but we also have an exporter on the back here. The exporter has honey blocks in its directory here, so it's going to only input honey blocks. You do want to make sure that the machine is set up to accept the input from the side that you have your exporter from. Then on the bottom, we do have the importer. Now for this, we are importing a liquid. So you do have to change on the left-hand side here from being items to liquids. But with that being said, it's good to go. And it is going relatively well here. Now, I don't think it's actually going to show us. Yeah, we don't actually see it in this grid here, all of the liquids that we have up and going. But I believe in refined storage, you can get a wireless device that would actually help you be able to see your liquids. So creative fluid grid, yeah, you could get a creative fluid grid if you really wanted to. That's actually not that bad to get. You just do need to get the fluid grid itself. It costs a little bit here to get. Actually, it's not too bad. How bad would it be to get a grid going here? Geez, a lot of stuff to get a grid. But I think it actually made it pretty quick here. Let's get a, we want this. So we need a fluid grid here, which we need to craft up the grid. Perfect. And then we need this bad boy again. We need the fluid grid. Steps here. So many steps. Okay, get that going. And in just a second here, we should be able to get that. So we have our fluid grid. And then we should be able to get this going and get ourselves a wireless fluid grid. Come on, there we go. Cool beans, and it instantly filled up with power because we do have our stuff going on from power. We do have to link this though. Oh, come on, there's so many steps here. Well, we'll go back over that way anyway. But it would be really cool to see everything that is being put into our refined storage system. Now, obviously, in order to do this, you have to have the right cells or the right storage disks in place to store fluids. So if we actually, I think if I just click it on this, right? And just click it on this, it's linked. And now we can see our fluids in here, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to put this away for the time being. But you can see we have 84 buckets. It says 85,000 millibuckets, but it's 85 buckets of honey in there. And we could obviously put other things in there, which we definitely will be doing here shortly. But we come down here and we go to our disk drive here, and we actually do have a 4,096K. So what is that? About 4 million, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4 million. It actually shows you right there. 4 million storage disk here. Now, again, you have to take into consideration that the way that buckets work in Minecraft, it's like 1,000 millibuckets equals 1 bucket, and you're talking in millibuckets here. So you only have, you knock off the 3 zeros on the end, so you can only store about 4,000 fluids within your 4,000 buckets of a fluid within this system, which it's not horrible, but at the same time, it's just something to keep into consideration. This one actually wasn't bad to make up. All I did was get all of the patterns put in here, and it was pretty straightforward to just go ahead and request it and have it craft up for us. So we do have some patterns in here. Let's throw them there. But this boy is linked, so we are good to go. Let's head back over to our bee sanctuary here and get this finalized. So heading back downstairs. So we have it flowing into the system. And we can actually close off the wall now. We no longer need this to be open. So close it off just like so. Make it look semi-decent, I guess. And we do need to get more of this stone. But then coming down here to the actual honey tank, we need to have it so that the honey then exports into here. So we're going to want an exporter into here. We are going to need to define the exporter is going to be using honey. And it is a liquid honey, which, you know what? We got to make sure that it's the right kind of honey. Now that I'm thinking about it, we want to make sure that it is the right one that we're placing in there. Where did our fluid monitor go? It just says honey. All right, well, what is the honey that is coming from here? It's Minecraft from FH core. So that's the one we're getting. All right. Because you just want to make sure that the right honey is distinguished within the exporter. Otherwise, it's not going to do it. Now, we do want to switch it over to fluids, and it should allow us to put it there. So you do need to switch that over, just like so. And then finally, our last step is to hook everything in. So that should export honey into here. I hope it works. It actually doesn't look like it's putting into the honey tank below it, but I don't even know if you necessarily need the honey tank. Let's see here. Fluid tank, ignored redstone signal, exact mode on. What if we turned exact mode off? Would it export into here? Looks like we might be having a problem here. Oh, actually, hang on a second. Did it have honey in there? and it was just not showing it to us? Because when it broke, it looked like, yeah, it looks like it has some textures for it. Well, hang on, let's try this. Can we just put this right on top? Will this work? No. Okay. Let me tinker a little bit here. All right, guys. Holy smokes. So this whole process did not work out the way I wanted it to, and it's kind of unfortunate. I didn't spend, I'll be fair, I didn't spend a lot of time doing a ton of research into possibilities of conversion, but I did run into quite a big problem here. So what we had going on was our Magma Crucible melting down all of our honeycomb or honey blocks into liquid honey. Now this is from the COFH core mod. Then from there, it was being dumped into our refined storage system, which was really cool to be able to see. And then from there, it was being piped all the way underneath up through here. And then I was trying to have it pipe into our system here, utilizing the honey tank with the ender beacon. Now, this is where the issue comes into play. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the other types of honey play well with this ender beacon. So even though we had all of that honey being produced and melted down and stored within our system, it was not playing nice with this, and it would not export into it no matter what I tried. I tried exporting it into via refined storage directly into it. I tried exporting it into a tank here, as you can see, and then utilizing a fluid pipe from the Pypes mod to export it into it. Didn't work. Tried the basic mechanical pipe from Mechanism. That didn't work. It just didn't seem to work. I tried pumping it right into the tank. I tried pumping it right into the beacon itself. But unfortunately, no matter what I did, it would just not, it would not work at all. Which is a little bit unfortunate. The other thing I did want to actually look at is, well, the beacon itself is just, yeah, it is what it is. You can't make different tiers, but the tank you can actually make different tiers of. Now, I didn't try to make different tiers of the tank to see if it would work. I just was using the highest one with the beacon. Now, unfortunately, the other thing with this too is active? No. Okay, hang on a second here. Oh, it's not active because we have to, I think we have to, if you want to hide the ender beacon's beam, all you need to do is that, and you can hide it. And then I don't think it's active because it doesn't have enough honey in it to keep going. And that was the other thing I was going to mention. The amount of honey that is required to actually run this beacon is actually kind of astronomical. Now that I break it down, it's 3 buckets a tick to keep this bad boy up and going, which is just insane. It is an insane amount of honey that's actually needed to be able to do that. So I think you really have to progress a decent ways before you can even do that, which is a little bit unfortunate. So yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is. We'll keep going with our bees and keep going and moving and doing what we need to do. But unfortunately, this beacon did not turn out to be exactly what I was hoping for. Now, if it offered even regeneration for a brief period to our bees, I think that's great. It doesn't necessarily need to be consistent, but at least we'll hopefully get them back to a good point. But the other thing you could do is, I've tried it out, you can use splash potions of regeneration on bees, and it'll actually heal them as well. So, was this a great thing to get up and going? Not really. Unfortunately, it is going to consume a lot of honey. And probably what I'll actually just ultimately do is I'll probably just turn it off. We'll probably just turn this off so it's not taking those in, and we'll just have those backlog into our system because we don't really need it on, unfortunately. So it was something cool to look at, but you know what? It is what it is. So guys, we need to wrap up the episode there. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like down below. Better yet, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking on this series. I do stream over on Twitch. Our current schedule is Mondays and Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't recall if I said that, but there it is again, that information for you. Link in the description down below, along with the link to our Discord if you'd like to join into the community. I try to spend a decent amount of time over there, so feel free to drop in. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Appreciate it so very much. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Take it easy.